Our story, the Odyssey, tells the story of Odysseus and his journey with his fleet of men returning from the Trojan War to his hometown of Ithaca. Throughout his journey, Odysseus makes many fruitful decisions to benefiting Odysseus and his crew.
That's really formal, too wordy.
Life is wordy. It's not. It's too long to let it all out. But this is about Odysseus, not life.
Well, I think he was a terrible leader, like in book 9 with the Cyclops.
But book 9, I can't even count that high. Good thing I have an eidetic memory.
Eidetic? I don't even know what that means. Anyway, we're getting off topic. Why, in your opinion, do you think Odysseus is a good leader?
Well, in that sticky situation with the Cyclops, for one, his control of his men in an otherwise stressful situation proves that he's an effective leader. This is shown in lines 284 to 285.
Okay, fair point, but I still disagree with you. With the Cyclops, his men try to convince him to take everything and leave before the monster comes back, but then the monster comes back and Odysseus doesn't want to leave, and then they all, die. Most of them die. Lines 125 through 132 in book 9 show that exactly.
Well, satisfaction brought the cat back, didn't it?
What is... That doesn't make any sense. Okay, anyways, moving on.
Normal is not rad. Something that is rad is Odysseus' plan with his name Nobody.
Rad? Are you serious? No one uses that in this generation anymore. What century are you from?
Any of them, really. Even in Odysseus' century, there were proper manners, like how Odysseus let his men exit the Cyclops cave first.
Okay, fine. Manners are important. I guess that was nice of Odysseus to make up for most of his men dying and getting eaten by a psychotic cannibal. But what about after they get out of the cave and he starts taunting the Cyclops when they could have just left and gotten home safely with all the rest of their men intact, and he lets his real name slip, getting him cursed by a god, which also ends up in all of his men dying and him the only one returning. Lines 406 to 452 show just how good his pride gets in the way.
Well, common practice in the time leaves men to be prideful, per tradition. Really makes sense if you don't apply modern traditions.
You don't even start with me on traditions, man. That's just not... you don't want that. We'll save that for a different debate.
Okay.
Or whatever. Well, where's your text evidence for all this? You haven't even said a single, line for that whole, spiel thing.
You know it's true. Just take a look at lines 284, 285. You'll believe me then.
Fair point. Next example. Book 12, the Sirens, Scylla and Charybdis. You first. Go. Make sure you have evidence this time.
Well, in this book, Odysseus' crew obviously trusts him as they take his plan to deafen themselves with beeswax. Only a strong leader would have such a trusting crew.
Anyone would take that plan over death, I think. When he asks his men to tie him up and let him hear the sirens, he's asking something huge of them. He's putting his life in their hands, which is kind of stupid if you ask me, if you really think about it, And thinking about how they didn't trust him and they opened the bag of winds, stupid. His curiosity could have killed him and then basically killed all his men because, he's the leader of the group. And lines 6 through 12 show what could have happened if his crew fails to secure him tight enough to the mast.
But think about it. Odysseus thinks about his crew first, as seen in lines 115 to 119. As I mentioned earlier, he's curious for sure, but he ensures others' safety before his own. In any case, more great examples of his epic bravery would be in Book 22, Death in the Great Hall. I mean, only a strong leader like Odysseus could give him 4 people to take on the likes of 100 men, correct?
I mean, I guess.
Well, what, you can't even disagree with me? I mean, the suitors even admit to their fate. We take a look at Eurymachus' speech in line 45 to 49.
Hold on! I was just thinking about how to counter-argue, idiot. Odysseus doesn't even give the men a chance to explain themselves or apologize. He just goes on and kills them all without a second thought. Lines 45 through 67 explain that perfectly.
Be that as it may, they do give a small speech before their well-deserved slaughter. In lines 45 to 49, where Eurymachus, speaking for the group, says, "Meanwhile, we cannot blame you for your anger."
Okay, there's that, but what about the fact that he has a goddess helping him? If he really was a good hero, he wouldn't have needed Athena's help. He could have just done it alone. He has most of the skills needed to fight, so why would he need a goddess to aid him? A good leader can rely on himself and those around him. He could have persuaded the suitors to join his side and not fight him.
See, I would beg to differ. If Odysseus has the help of a goddess, that means he is such a strong leader that he caught the eyes of the gods. That's an honor, not a weakness. Odysseus even announces his presence, and the suitors admit to their fate. They wish to go out fighting.
Okay, since we obviously can't agree on which one is right, you have some pretty good points about why Odysseus is a strong and good leader. I'm still sticking with my thoughts that he's a terrible one.
In all honesty, you had several fair points as to why Odysseus was an okay leader.
And okay, I said he was a terrible leader.
Well, formalities aside, I frankly believe what I believe, and that's that.
What is it with you talking like you're a 50-year-old man?
Time paradoxals.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, go.
Homer's story, the Odyssey, tells the story. Jesus.
1.
Harder than half.
1,
The camera.
2,
My head is
3, 4, go.
Homer's story, the Odyssey, tells the story of Odysseus and his journey home from yes, that's what it says. I can't want to keep forgetting that.